Hello viewers, Super GT here. Welcome back to Monza, the mecca of mayhem, where we have so many lunges, last-ditch attempts to overtake at that first chicane. But look at this, right? The grid from 1st to 18th was separated by 1 second. Now that is pretty darn crazy. For a daily race, it's almost unheard of. You get that in FIA races, but you don't often get that in daily races. So we're hopefully in for a nice close race here. We'll see how it pans out. Now this was a really good battle, especially between myself and this guy in front. And in some ways it was a really good battle, but at the same time we both did something really stupid during the race, and we'll get to exactly what that is later on. So first chicane, you see as we just panned out a little bit there, people going on as always. I had a race maybe about 3 races before this one, and I was just getting sent to Narnia on every bloody corner. Someone just lunging in from miles behind every corner. And R4, I think what it must have been, they saw that it was R4M Shadow GT, and they thought it was an audition to get into R4M Ram for Money Esports, and started ramming me off just to impress me. But it was bloody annoying, let me tell you that. And that race didn't end very well. Possibly with a rage quit, but I can't confirm for sure. So here we go then, through Lesmo 2 onto this back straight. Guy behind is going to get a penalty, and this is kind of the key when you're starting at the front or near the front, first and second here. You really want to break away from as many people as you can early on, and we've kind of done that. We all know by now the magic prime suck zone of 0.8 seconds, and we're well out of that range from the guy behind. Now here's the kind of crucial part. Coming out of the Ascara chicane down the back straight towards Parabolica, you might have just seen there, going into 6 on the fuel setting. So this really is an important race because there is a pit stop. You can do a no stop, which we will see an example of later, but for the most part it is easiest, I think, just to go into the pit lane. And therefore, as a result, you do need to try and save as much fuel as you can. Look at this guy all over to the right hand side to try to shake me off. It's not quite going to happen. As we come into turn 1, can I go around the outside? He pulls off, as you know, he stays fairly central, gives me space on the left hand side, and we keep our positions. Now I didn't really want to pass anyway. My main strategy here is to stay within that prime suck zone and save fuel. So for the moment, I'm kind of okay with where I am. It's it can be a risky strategy, but at the same time, as long as you've got the pace, it can be okay. Sometimes it's best to control the race from the front and just be at the front, so just control it from there. And if you make a mistake, you can still just defend and block. Whereas if I make a mistake now, then I could easily lose the slipstream. Then I've got to use a lot more fuel to try and get back into it. So there are risks with each strategy. The main advantage from being behind, of course, is the slipstream, and therefore I can save fuel. So playing the long game here, really, just hoping that the guy ahead hasn't saved as much as I have. He should be able to save as much because he hasn't got the slipstream. He hasn't got any slipstream in front of him. But as David Perrell alluded to in his race, or his video where we raced together, the good thing you can do if you're in front in this situation, just back off. Just start defending or start saving loads of fuel. If the guy behind wants to save even more, then okay, he'll slow down. If not, then they'll go past you, and then you can be the one behind and you can save the fuel. So it's not always a case of being in the lead is the best thing. There's lots of ways to kind of tackle the problem. Sometimes being in the lead isn't the best place to be. Of course, right at the end of the race it is, but at the beginning, not always. So, coming down the main straight once again, tucked right into the slipstream. Monza is very famous for a slipstream, and it's very, very important around here. He goes to the left hand side this time. He knows that I'm not quite going to go for that move as we head in to the first chicane. On the next lap around, actually no, we'll do it we'll do it now. Do it on the next lap number 4, as we skip forward. I'll show you kind of the track limits, so where you can and can't go on the circuit. So into the first corner, brake on the 150 board, so the second board. And for the first apex, as long as you keep 2 wheels on the Italy flag curb, then you're okay. So the green, white, and red. And again, here you see where he is, 2 wheels on there. That's as far as you want to go anyway, because the orange curb really messes you up. The big sausage will flip you over for days if you get it wrong. So don't really go any further than that. Here, you're kind of braking just before this dirt patch, right at the end of the barrier, the orange barrier on the right. Maybe a tiny bit later if you're really attacking. Here, again, same thing with the curb. 2 wheels on the Italy flag. And here you see where he is, 2 wheels on the red, white and green, and you're okay. And then here, just extend all the way out. If you know what you're aiming for in terms of the curbs, it really helps. If you can just visualise what you're aiming for through these corners, keeping 2 wheels on certain sections like here as well, you're just aiming for the curb. You don't want to go any wider because the AstroTurf does slow you down slightly. Not good traction, and it's exactly what we've both done there. So he's gone really wide by making a big mistake. I didn't quite know which side to go, so I went to the right hand side, go past him. But that shows you don't really want to go any wider through Lesmo 1, through Lesmo 2. Don't go wider than the curb because the AstroTurf messes you up. Braking just before the end of this pavement on the right hand side, before the 100 board, kind of trail brake it in. And again, same thing with the curb here. Use plenty of that curb, and here just nice and gentle through this section, and then throw it into the right. You can take quite a lot of curb here. Again, 2 on the Italy flag, and then just run it out. Don't go beyond the Astro, or don't go onto the Astro on the exit. So again, up into third, or up into setting 3, and that just lets him back past. It might seem like a really silly strategy, but it's a good strategy because I'm saving so much fuel compared to him. Hopefully, we don't actually know just yet. I'd be amazed if he's saved more than me by being in front the whole time and pushing on gears, whereas I've been putting into leaner settings and just short shifting. So coming down the main straight once again, we are on lap 5 now, and actually on lap 5 it might be an idea to come back past because we're going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap, and it's always an advantage just to be in ahead. Go in ahead in the pit stops. If you're both going to go in, it is quite a big advantage just to go in ahead. You can have like a half a second or a second swing in your favour. So it is important to try to get ahead. So the thing about Monza is really about timing, because a lot of the time, because there's so many straights, if you attack early in the lap, they can just come back at you straight away because there's so many straights. So you kind of want to wait, I feel, until at least after the Lesmo's coming up towards Ascari. So we need to get a good run through these 2 corners here. And it's getting harder and harder as our tyres are beginning to wear out. So on the medium tyre, 2 sets of mediums during this race with 1 stop in the middle, and out of the exit here into the slipstream now. So I'm going to rev out the car a little bit more, just maybe go alongside, but I can see that I'm already too far back, so I'm going to go into setting 2 and we'll try to commit to a move after Ascari into Parabolica, the final corner. So that's where I'm going to go for the move, try it there instead. Coming through here again, using all the track limits. He goes a little bit wide, that does help me. You see he just slows down a tiny amount. It's not much, but it's enough for me now to fully tuck in. He goes fully to the right, he knows I'm coming. Go over to the left, going to have to go the long way around the outside. Give him space on the right hand side. I think he braked a little bit too late, and the move isn't quite going to be on. So both going to go to the right hand side here and peel into the pit lane to take our pit stops. So here is the moment of truth, and I've saved 14% more fuel. 14%, quite a lot. I mean, that is a massive difference. I've got 28% left, and normally you can use about, in this car, the Nissan GTR around here, but if you're using 15% a lap, that's quite a good rate. So I could go out with 60%, but I like to go, I'm going to put in a little bit more because I think I can afford to and still come out in the lead. So I can use about 16% a lap now and just rev out the car a little bit more. So coming into the first corner, still in second because there is a no stopper. We spoke about the strategy that as he just comes out there, it's actually possible to do a no stop. You have to be very, very committed to it. You really do have to make sure you short shift a lot. So this guy, presumably, well, he is using roughly 11% fuel per lap. I'm using about 15, so you have to save 4%. It doesn't sound like much, but every lap that is quite a lot of fuel to save. So with 4 laps to go, or less than now, he's only 3 seconds ahead. I should be able to get past him. The main problem being, is he going to hold me up? Is he going to start defending? That could bring the Spaniard behind, as you can see him there, just coming out of Desmo 1, might just bring him back into play. So I did gain about 2 seconds in that pit stop. You can see the gap there. That's the result of fuel saving. So sitting in behind, saving the fuel, spend less time in the pit lane. I've just gained maybe 2.5 seconds. So I'm actually 2.1 ahead, but I was about half a second behind going into the pit lane. So I saved about 2.5 seconds by fuel saving. So we're going to whip it forward here with a dose of nitrous oxide as we enter lap number 7. And this is where we both did something really stupid. Really, really stupid. Coming up into the first corner. And it's all going fine. And then I just completely missed my braking point. I don't even know what the hell that was. And it's basically a full-on bottle job. But luckily for me, the guy behind did exactly the same thing. He did the same thing. So what the hell is going on there? Really, really weird occurrence. This happened to me before. I've braked too late and the person behind's followed me. There's a good reason for this. Coming into the first corner, you're always looking for the second board. So you see the boards here. I always go by the ones on the ground, not the ones on the wall. So you're looking for the second board, the 150 board. But the first board, the 200 board on the ground, has been knocked over. It's been knocked over there by someone. So my reference was completely out. So I'm still looking for the second board. And normally it will be the 150, but because of that first board being knocked away, turns out it's the wrong one. So I'm braking at the 100, and this is what it looks like from the guy behind. He braked on the 100 as well, so he did exactly the same thing. So we spoke about the brake markers and references and curb references, and it kind of shows you can mess it up quite easily if people knock down those boards. It's very easy to do, and it can catch you off guard because you're going in there just looking for the same reference every lap, and then it's just gone, and then it just puts you off. So a corner like this, I'm just going by the barrier and the dirt patch, so it doesn't really matter. No one can knock the dirt patch away or knock the barrier away, so that can't move. But when there's brake boards, it can be very difficult. And this happens in Forza a lot actually, because pretty much every time you come around for the next lap, the brake boards are gone because everyone's just smashed the hell out of them. So it's a lot more difficult on Forza actually. So often it's better on Forza to kind of look for different references rather than those brake boards. So anyway, that actually gives the guy in the lead a bit of respite. It gives him actually a chance to win this race now, because I was easily going to catch up with him. But now, after that mistake, he moved about 6 seconds ahead with 3 laps remaining, so he can afford to lose 2 seconds a lap. And so the gap is now down to 4.4 to the leader. And weirdly enough, well, actually, it's probably not weird. The guy behind, who made the same mistake as I did, the gap kind of hovered at 2.1. So we both made exactly the same mistake and lost exactly the same amount of time for doing it. It kind of just shows you how we were both doing exactly the same thing. We're in the same car, we were both braking at the 150, although when we made the mistake, we both braked at the 100, and then we both got reset at the same kind of time. So it just shows you the consistency between us. And there kind of shows you the gaps between the top 4, most importantly I think the top 3, as we are split roughly by 2 seconds each. So it looks like a quite comfortable race, as I am still about 2 seconds ahead, but just one mistake and if he gets into the slipstream range then he's well within range to go for a move. So at this point here, 2 seconds to the driver behind, 1.7 to the leader who is driving the Lexus. So I'd imagine that is a very good car on fuel, as he seems to have been doing a very good job. I'm not sure where he started, somewhere presumably in sort of the mid-pack, maybe from about 5th to 8th or something along those lines. But he's done a very good job here of really nursing that car. And obviously he's going to be on quite bad tyres by this point, having not stopped. But you can just see how much time I gained through there. He's just got old tyres and he's got the fuel saving to do, so he's going to have to short shift, and there's just nothing he can do. He doesn't even fight it, it's not going to move. For him it's a matter of just minimising time loss. The more he fights me, the more people are just going to get invited into the fight. So it's the right idea for him just to let me go, I suppose. But then he makes a big mistake going to turn 1, maybe again caught off guard by that missing brake marker. Possibly, I don't know. And then the guy in 4th actually makes a similar mistake. There we go, into first place. Now it's really just a matter, with a 2.5 second gap, it's really just a matter of bringing it home and not getting a penalty. Just focusing on those track limits once again. We know where they are, and just make sure we don't do anything really stupid. We've already done something very stupid, we don't need to do any more. And we can whip it forward now, because this lap was just a very clinical lap, not much really happened, and just brought it home basically. The main thing I suppose to consider is really the fuel, 2% left coming through here, but I've been measuring it every lap, and it's a good tip I think, just to really measure your fuel, just to really know how much fuel you've got left, just to maximise every last drop of it and last drop of speed that you can possibly get out of your fuel. So we come across the line I think with 0% or 1%. And win the race. It was a strange race because of the mistake and the way it turned out with the pit stops and with the no stop guy as well. So it was kind of an interesting one there. Could have easily have gone a lot worse than a win, especially with that mistake, and maybe the guy in the lead could have held me off or tried to hold me off. You just never know. But there we go. I do hope you enjoyed the video as always. Let me know your thoughts. If you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing. And I shall see you next time. Thank you very much for watching, as always. Goodbye.